And the Texans defense is great.
Mhm.
Is great. Maybe the best in the league. Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie, Bullock, Daniil Hunter, Autry, Aziz Al-Shire. These are name brand players. Like, they are lit. But that offense is awful. And a few things. Nico Collins concussion, short week,
Mhm.
flying over, might not be able to play. Christian Kirk already dealing with a hamstring injury. The Texans might be down to Jalen Noel, who you and I really liked in the draft process. Jaden Higgins, who, again, they're just like, hey, we drafted this guy. He's really good. Let's just not throw him the football. Let's throw it to Braxton Berrios and Xavier Hutchinson, Dalton Schultz, and Woody Marks, Nick Chubb. But there's a few things about this Houston offense that I've noticed, and we've got 7 weeks of a sample size. The line's bad. The play call is bad. CJ Stroud has completely regressed. All three of those things are true. All three of those things are true. Now, does one have a cascading effect on the other? I don't know. Yes, it does. But you know how many quarterbacks have had bad offensive lines and bad play callers and never looked that bad? There is a sample size right now, and you're not gonna believe this number. And I want to make sure I get it right. I want to make sure I get this stat right because you might not believe it yourself. The last 17 starts. I'm gonna list the numbers and then I'll tell you the names. The last 17 starts. 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 87 passer rating. 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 83.9 passer rating. One of them is CJ Stroud. Which one is it, Steph?
For this season?
What the last 17
Oh,
starts.
it's that last 17. I'd say the second one.
Yeah, 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 83.9 passer rating. That's CJ Stroud. The first guy, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 87 passer rating. Bryce Young.
Wouldn't
Listen
have
to me.
expected.
Bryce Young is in a poor situation as well too.
Mhm.
Canales is good. I think he's a good play caller actually. He's helped revive Baker Mayfield. But they don't really got weapons and they have a poor offensive line. Like, I know that he's not getting much help, but he's not helping. And I guess where I'm going with this stuff is the crowning of CJ Stroud as football Jesus after a season. And we've seen this how many times over and over. Oh man, I'll take this guy over this guy. And like I had some idiot at a bar tell me that he'd take CJ Stroud after that first year over Lamar Jackson. Like, I just want you guys to
Whoa.
stop. Yeah, right. So Jaden Daniels is struggling this year. I guess he needs help. Why is it that what's the hardest thing in the NFL to do is to put together a full season. The second hardest thing to do is to do it again. And CJ Stroud is struggling right now, man. And I guess I'm pointing this out because not because I'm trying to make this about Brock Purdy, but more about like the people that were using CJ Stroud as like this barometer of like, oh, I'd take him in a minute over like, relax, man. He might not be that good.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code GSP. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
To go back to the Texans defense being good, right? They are. I mean, D'Amico Ryan's a hell of a coach. We know that. For the defensive side, they got some dudes there. But they're 2-4. And the reason that they're 2-4, make no mistake about it, is their offense, because their offense is not doing them any favors. We're talking about complimentary football earlier. They are not doing that right now. They're doing quite the opposite. And it in turn eventually hurts their defense, because they're having to be on the field for as long as they are and, not able to stop offenses after a while. So, and the Texans turning it over as well, not helping. So, I like this game for the 49ers, like you said, short week for them. Nico Collins, that's a huge one. That's a huge one because actually, like, he was finding some footing, or the offense was starting to find some footing because, they were moving the ball through him basically, and as they should. I mean, he's that talented. To your point, like they hadn't really used the two rookies that they drafted as much, which a bit of a head scratcher, right? But they started to against Seattle, so I would expect that to continue against the 49ers as well. But I feel okay with what the 49ers have done with the secondary so far. I mean, you got guys coming in, Darrell Luter, Chase Lucas coming in and being able to, clamp the Falcons, in that game pretty well. So I feel good about it. I think this sets up perfectly for the 49ers to have some success. That being said, yes, I do expect that, they'll have some struggles moving the ball, possibly on defense, especially, from the running standpoint, right? We saw the 49ers had a lot of success against the Falcons. Do we expect that we're going to see the same type of performance against this Texans defense? Personally, I don't. It's going to be it'll be a little harder,
Yeah, you're not going to be able to run gap. You're not going to be able to run gap against Houston like that. You're not. They're too big up front.
So it'll be interesting, as we talk about, Kyle Shanahan and all the different adjustments, right? Okay, now you have George Kittle back. What adjustment do you make in particular for this Texans defense that you're going to be going up against and that personnel? You're familiar with this defense and what DeMeco Ryans wants to do. You're even familiar with some of the players that he has. So we'll see what advantage, if any, that gives the 49ers in this game. On the other hand, DeMeco Ryans knows what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, right? So in that sense, it'll be a good battle. But I just feel like there's more things that favors the 49ers in this one for sure. And it does ultimately come back to the way Robert Saleh has his defense playing, even with Bryce Huff, being out for a couple weeks. I do expect this defensive line can still get after Stroud, still force him into mistakes.
I agree.
How this feels like it could be a week where we get that interception and let Grammy at the cage, Jay. That it has to be this week, right?
She's staying until it's done.
Until it's done.
I put a big lock on there.
It would be funny if Tatum Bethune gets a pick because, we were saying Fred was so close, so many times to getting the pick.
Chase Lucas almost had it.
He did. And so we'll see who gets it. But I feel like this one's shaping up to be, I don't even want to say get right week. What get right? The 49ers are right now. Yeah. But it'll just be a momentum building, game for them, I think.
Yeah, if you're looking at the 2 weeks that you're not going to have Bryce Huff, this could be one of those weeks where I'm not going to say you don't have, you don't feel his loss. The Houston Texans line is what some people think that the San Francisco 49ers line is, worst in the league. That bad. They're going to be able to get after CJ Stroud, and he looks shell-shocked. He just looks shell-shocked. He's not seeing the field. Guys are wide open. He's turning it down. He's, missing throws. He's airmailing it. He's throwing it. He's shell-shocked right now. And that has to do with the offensive line. It has to do with the play calling. But it also has to do with his own regression. Again, plenty of quarterbacks have had bad play callers. Plenty of quarterbacks have had bad offensive lines. Plenty of quarterbacks haven't played that bad. And that's just what he's doing right now. And I think it's not going to be 22 pressures like it was with Atlanta because Bryce Huff was a menace. But Sammy O's going to have a big game this week. And if Alfred Collins continues to go and Michael, this offensive line is, I don't want to sugarcoat it, awful. Bottom of the league. That bad. So I just, that part is where the 49ers have the advantage. Offensively, while we said, hey, listen, look at them getting away from outside zone, the gap scheme, you're going to have a far harder time bullying that Houston defensive line. I just want to make sure that we get that, very clear. Do you mix in a little bit more outside zone? Because like I said, the fact that they didn't go away from outside zone. They still ran that. They didn't run it as much. And it was an emphasis to let the Falcons know, we're going to kick your ass all day today. This is what the message we're sending you is that we're going to keep doing this inside and we're going to run gap. But Houston doesn't have holes on their defense. And that's the hard part, right? Stingley and Petrie. I loved Petrie, Bullock, and, they've got so many good guys. And right now, they they look great on defense, but them being a point and a half underdog, I get it's because it's on the road in Houston. Come on, man. That Houston's offense, you're talking about this offense wasn't even able to function when Nico Collins and all these guys were on the field. Now they're not going to be there, and they still have that offensive line, and CJ Stroud is looking the way that he is. I guess I'll just say that this is all lining up for watch Houston put it all together and just like have like a great game this week. But I'd be very shocked if the Houston Texans offense went out there and put it together because they haven't put it together at all. So yeah, I don't know.
And no run game from the Texans.
None.
Either. Like,
None. Nick Chubb in the Big 2025, not a factor. Woody Marks, yeah.
They're one-dimensional by default, and that one dimension is not good. So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, look, revenge game, D'Amico Ryans. It's good to see you, Aziz Al-Shire. But Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, Danico Autry, like, oh my God, man, like those are some dudes, man, and they're good. They have great players. Their defense is number 1 in DVOA, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's not why they're losing. They just can't score points. And the games that they have won, they beat the JV Ravens team. And I forget the game before that they won, but like they literally were beating up on Cooper Rush and nobody in that game.